Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to be on how to rotate onto dead side of zone. Before the video begins, if you guys could go ahead and hit that sub button, it would be great. We're almost at 1,000 subs, so let's go ahead and get started. So here's the format for today's video. I'm going to explain what dead side is for the benefit of those who don't already know the term. Then we're going to watch this VOD that is on screen right now. This is Jackie, a fellow Redditor who actually plays in top 100 in solo FNCS. He's a great player, and his YouTube channel is linked below, so go check him out. Now, what is dead side of zone? Dead side is the area within zone that has the lowest population, meaning you have the lowest chance of running into enemies. Mastering dead side minimizes your chances of unwanted fights in the mid game so that you can always make it to the end game. I already have a video on how to dominate in the early game, so I'll link that in the description if you guys want to check it out. So in first circle here, dead side can be hard to determine. This is because most people have their landing spots all over the map, right? Everyone already has their landing spot thought about. Everyone's going all over the map to go to their landing spot. So when you're trying to determine dead side of first circle, you have to take into account the population rate of each landing spot or POI. What I mean by this is that, for example, Lazy Lake will have a higher kind of population density, if you will, than Wood Factory, for example. And you just have this is just something you have to pick up by yourself. You just have to recognize that some POIs are more contested than others. Oop, Jackie just got sniped. Feels bad. So, taking into account population density of each POI and each area around the map is huge in determining where dead side is in the first circle. I'm gonna let him finish. Another huge factor in first circle is distance to zone. Circles that pull into corners, such as this one, for example, will force players into choke points. So what I mean by that is that in this video is also kind of going to determine like hotspots as well, I guess. So players in this area, all of them have their white lines, and the white line is when the game is showing you like the smallest distance you have to run to get to zone, like the perfect path. So the white lines from all these players, if you notice, kind of pull into the same area around agency, weeping. Some of them pull up into frenzy. So all these players are all, if they all white line, they're all going to end up in the same spot, and that's going to be congested side of zone. Now, congested side of zone in first circle is usually the side where you have the most people having to run far. What I mean by this is that you have like a lot of people who have to move a far distance. That's usually gonna make it a congested side because you have a lot of people from even closer POIs that are also rotating in. And dead side is usually, but not always, going to be on the side or in the corner of a map, on the edge of a map that gets zone first circle. So as you guys can see, like these players right here, got this guy on islands, this guy down at Rainbow Rentals. They kind of have dead side because they're on the edge of zone, meaning there's no one out here that can rotate onto them. So they only have to watch out for one side, and they already have zone. So that's kind of how dead side and first zone is determined. So in this case, it would be on this edge right here around these islands, just down here. But that's first circle. It can be actually really advantageous if your POI is not there. For example, if you're this guy or this guy down at rig, to rotate early onto dead side to get yourself there before congestion comes in, so you don't run into fights you don't want to take. So the reason, also, I just want to add that a reason I picked this game out to VOD is because he actually got a 6-kill win this game, which is really great. So we're not really going to focus on his gameplay as much, although I will go over it and I'll play through the endgame and stuff so you guys can see, and that'll be just good content, entertainment, as well. But we're mainly going to focus on where deadside pulls in each circle. I'm not actually sure if he like forces himself onto deadside, but I still want to go over where deadside is. So right here, we're just going to go ahead and fast forward a little. Next 20 seconds so we can get where next circle pulls. There. Okay, so next circle pulls more center zone than the second one. So now we're going to talk about dead side again. Now, you guys can see that I wasn't lying about congestion. This poor guy's stuck in zone. About congestion, you guys can see in weeping, right? Look at the amount of players, looking at the amount of arrows here. And there's still 5 players that haven't actually made it into zone that will make it into zone most likely, right? So right away you guys can spot the congestion. You can see the pattern starting to develop immediately. Like you have 10 plus players on here, but whereas over here, this guy in green, this guy in white, and sweaty, there's basically no one in this area, right? And it looks like this guy in orange is actually making the correct rotate by actually getting himself onto dead side where there are no players and rotating in this way, which means that when he goes left here to get into zone instead of right, he'll avoid all these players and potentially avoid a lot of fights. Obviously, it's not always this easy because when you guys pull up the map, you don't see these arrows, so you have to be able to determine this by yourself. Obviously, second zone, rotating into second zone, utilizing dead side, it's utilizing the dead side of first circle, if that makes any sense. So you're using the dead side that existed as a result of the first circle to rotate into second, because typically players will shift in. So first circle dead side actually kind of does determine a lot of dead sides for the next couple zones because players will shift in from where they were previously, which means all these players are going to shift in and make salty congested in this next circle. And obviously islands, there's still a few players, but it's not going to be as congested because it was on an edge that had no players. So now players here can easily rotate in and be on on this side of zone where there are a lot less players and in pleasant and salty. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. I'm not gonna skip this kill because I think you guys probably want to see it. I also assume that he just Alright, I'll slow it down a little, but we're really not focused. Oh my god. Okay, so this guy just kind of gets destroyed. It looks like. Yep, Lotus. Oh, this is taking a little longer than I would have liked. Okay, so just in case you guys wanted to see that kill, I'm gonna skip ahead now. So Jackie's already in zone. You guys will notice he's already in zone. He's right here. So if you're already in zone, even if you're not on dead side, there's not always the need to move because it's actually a lot easier to look for picks and look for tags if you're in need of storm surge. When you're kind of just on the edge of zone on congested side, it's a lot easier to look for tags. But if you want to avoid fights, Jackie could have rotated back up here into this area where there are less players, and he would know there are less players because you know that in this area, blah blah blah. Again, I'm repeating myself based off first circle. So third circle pulls here. Obviously, we skipped a little. I think second is already moving in. Congestion here is once again this water kind of ruins it because it's hard to determine because obviously the water is going to be dead side because no one's going to base up in water where you can't really build. But you guys see straight away that it's always easier to determine which side is going to be the hotspot or the congested side because you know immediately this area is going to be congested side because off first to go, all these people had rotated into here, and now all these people in Salty and Pleasant have to keep rotating in the same direction, the same wavelength into the next circle. So immediately you know this right half, if you kind of angle your head, this right half is going to be congested, and you guys see that there's practically no one on left side. So there are a few people in sweaty and stuff, but there are a lot less players, up here on this edge and down here on this edge in sweaty, and that's dead side because again, not a lot of distance to move, not a lot of map behind them in zone, right? So yeah, so 4 times this rotates through, no replay lag. My frames are not the greatest right now. Not really sure why. I don't have the best PC, but it's still a little whack. So from some mats, blah 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 blah. Okay. So I want to take a second to talk about his positioning within this circle. So he's right here, right? He's next to some players, but he honestly is kind of on dead side because all these players are stuck over here, right? You can see how many players are here. He is kind of on dead side. He's not fully on dead side because full dead side is over here. But being over here, it's pretty safe. Aren't a lot of players. He knows there's no one coming behind him because he was the one who rotated in over here. And you guys will notice as well that he was here in the last circle. And instead of rotating straight in like this to end up, stuck with all these players, he made the rotate to go up here, around. He made the rotate to go up here, around, and down into here where he knew that he would have less players. So I'm just gonna go ahead and turn this up next to controller. So I hope this is making sense for you guys because deadside is not always easy to explain, and a lot of people often have trouble determining it themselves once they jump into game, especially when you don't have like all these arrows telling you exactly where people are. So anyway, next circle pulls. I think this is 4. If my math is not, if my counting's not off. Once again, congested side is going to be obvious. It's going to be the same half. This isn't always a trend in every game, although it typically is because a lot of players will tend to clog up one side, and then when next zone shows, they'll clog up the same side of the next zone again because they're all rotating in. Um, and more stacked lobbies, like elite or pro scrims or like FNCS Grand Finals, you'll see less congestion throughout the mid game because players will rotate around the map to get themselves into better positionings. They'll try and get themselves like on a dead side, and it is possible to actually see dead side become congested because players try to rotate. Too many like players try to rotate onto it. But in most games, you're gonna have pretty consistent patterns with where congested is versus where dead is. So right here, dead side in this circle can easily be determined because of this water. So you know that there's no one in the water. So you know that this area immediately is going to be dead side because there is no one here at all. There's no one straight lining in, right? So what this player can do is he can kind of curve around right. That's even possible if he wants to risk it to get himself into dead side here. This guy can obviously just move up, right? They're all in pretty good positions. This area of sweaty might become congested because it is possible for players who are stuck here to recognize that they are stuck and want to take like a bank left to get themselves safer. So it is possible for this area to become congested, so it is a little risky. If you want to be full on dead side, you probably want to be around sweaty sands. So I'm going to slowly rotate down to 2 times. We can watch him rotate. Make some pretty good rotations, right? He's getting himself kind of onto dead side here. Notice this third player shooting at him, get some tags, farm some mats, gets himself into a nice bush. And I think he actually gets a second kill here, so we're going to slow it down for the benefit of the viewers. That was clean. Right, shoots the guy out, just one pumps him, nothing to really see there. Good call, drop the bandy cannon for, Snowfish 4 floppers. That's really big. So I'm going to go ahead, and speed this up again. And while we do that, so he's just going to rotate. So he goes right here. He's stuck over here, and he wants to go right. It's okay to not to rotate on the outside of the next safe circle to get yourself into a position that's better. So this whole U is terribly congested. You guys can see. This is completely dead. In the sand right here, there's not a single player, right? So if you were here and you wanted to, and you could do it undetected, you could technically rotate here and literally just sit here and be completely alone and not be under threat from anyone. And there is actually a time when I think dead side is not favorable. You don't want to be alone on a side of zone, and I'll explain that when we get there. It's actually during half zone when I think it's really bad. So bases up on top of innocence, trades some shots. Okay, so this zone just pulled, right? So he doesn't get half zone, which is unfortunate. It happens to everyone, except for these guys. These players have a really chill rotate because they are on dead side. You guys will notice players on congested side will have a tougher time because you do have to make it past so many people, whereas these guys, because they got themselves on dead side early, will be able to basically just walk in, right? Jackie has a pretty tough rotate. He has to go straight line pretty far. He could bank left around congestion, which would be technically a shorter route than going right along dead side. And here's what I want to talk about. On this dead side rotate, it's actually really hard when you're trying to rotate to half zone because you don't actually always want to be on dead side. You have to kind of like gauge the mood from like your lobby because if Jackie decides to rotate down the sand here, what is possible is that these players might all be looking for tags. This is especially prevalent in like Storm Surge lobbies. And these players are all looking for tags, and they see one guy rotating here, and someone starts spamming you. You're pretty much dead because when you're getting spammed, a good thing to do is actually to get as close to another player as possible to divert attention from you. But if you're alone over here, completely alone on full on dead side, and all these players on congested are all looking in your direction, there's nothing you can do. There's nowhere to hide, so you're gonna get spammed to death. Now, that's always a possibility to keep in mind. I think it's way worse during half zone because that's just how it is, right? So, in a sense, here rotating, Jackie gets a kill there. I'm not gonna go back for that because he just kind of AR'd the guy. So he's flying in here, gets beamed out of the air, boxes up, heals. So he kind of flew in when he was flying. You notice that he didn't take the left path because there are more players. Even when you're flying, you can you can figure out how to get deadside, right? So he rotates kind of onto deadside, and something you see a lot of players over here. That's because of pads and stuff. Players reposition, and in half zone, it's always a little bit weird. So a pattern I also want to point out, because in half zone this is pretty big, right? Is that if I zoom in here, I don't really want to see the name, so I'm going to zoom out a little. So half zone deadside is actually going to completely flip in this case, because the congestion was all here, right? But now the congestion is going to actually be all here, because the half of the half, if that makes sense, the side of half zone that is in storm when it is a half zone is always going to be technically the dead side, because everyone's normally tries to get in early, because if you pad late, you're in a lot of trouble. And they're all, obviously, when you pad, you want to land as quick as possible so you don't get beamed. When you're rotating, you want to stop the second you're in zone because you don't want to over-rotate and risk getting shot at. So everyone's going to get into circle and stop, right? The guys who already had circle are obviously chilling. But this whole area is revealed late. You can't go in it until later unless you want to take storm. So no one's going to be over there, and we're actually going to see that play out. You guys want to watch? I played at 2 times speed, so it goes in a little more. Really sorry for the gun firing, guys. It is really loud. So I'm actually going to go 4 times this for a bit, so we can see when zone closes. So that guy dies in storm. So okay, so immediately you guys see the pattern I was talking about, right? The half of this zone that was in storm is always going to be dead side. There's literally no one here. Even though in the previous circle this would have been congested side, it was like a normal circle pulling. But because half of it was in zone, there's no one here. So first moving pulls, and now the dead side rotate on first moving is actually going to be from the half zone dead side towards it. So this blue guy can actually just take a left path here and move down here while only blocking off one side because everyone's over here. So I don't know. I hope this is all making sense, because it's really, again, I've already said this, but it's really hard to explain. Okay, so Yankees ahead of zone now. Once first moving gets going, it's just kind of a mess. Okay, so I don't think dead side matters as much anymore. After you get into the moving zones, a really big thing you guys could do is you could actually, I really recommend this actually. If you go ahead and watch Arkrim, he is the IGL for his duo, and it's hard to explain dead side of these moving zones. So if you actually want, you guys should actually go and watch his like FNCS highlight videos, because he really masters rotating dead side of the moving zones. And I probably should have voted him for this, but I wanted to do a solos thing because yeah, just because the game mode right now appears to be solos. And the reason I'm also doing Jackie is because he's a fellow Redditor, excuse me. So I want to support him, right? So I'm just gonna watch this endgame, and this is from here on out. It's really gonna be more of a VOD review. Not gonna talk about deadside as much anymore. So yeah, we just watch it through, and I'll just point things out. I see fit. Get some stuff early into zone. Looks back for tags. I'm gonna turn the audio way down actually, because it's way too loud for me right now, and I can't make sense of what's going on. Okay, so ramp tunnels early into zone. Sees potential height. Gets impact. Kind of needed that actually. Looks up, right? He takes a second to look up and see that height is actually free, because height died or fell off or something. She manages to get himself onto height. Obviously looks back, sees Showbeats going from flop and play here. Pressures in, gets tagged, gets a kill. Very nice. Move forward. blah 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 blah. So replay lag, farm some extra mats, gets a tree out of the way. He's currently like almost 400 mats, which is really good for this late into zone, I think, especially if you have height. It's harder as a solo to pressure on height, so to pressure players when you're on height, because you do have to stop and reload and stuff, but yeah. So he has height here, he's right. We know he wins the game, but realistically, if I was watching this live, I'd be thinking, oh, he's probably going to win the game, right? Because he has height this late into zone. He still has good mats. In a sense, you're making a ballsy play for height. Because if you have height this late in zone and you have mats, you're most likely going to win, right? So Jackie goes for the flopper players. In a sense, is getting spammed from down low. He's going to let it happen. It's pretty risky, actually. Wow. He has four builds. Wow, I can't believe he kept height off that. Okay. So everyone died on low ground, and then I'm not sure what controller God was doing. So, yeah, that's going to be it for today's video. It kind of doubled as a VOD review, right? So, congrats to Jaggy for placing in top 100. Big game here, 6-kill win. So, key takeaways from today's game are determining deadside, and how deadside in first circle kinda determines deadside up till half zone, where the deadside immediately switches into the half that is in zone. So once again, deadside in first circle is usually the edge where there are least amount of people. This is based off POI, population density, right? Less people landing in the islands compared to Slurpee or Lazy, for example. And then that in turn is also based off the distance people have to move to zone. If you're on an edge where there's a lot of map behind you in zone, you're probably going to have a lot of people rotating in. But if you're on an edge where it's just water and there's nothing out behind you, you're not going to have anyone rotating in behind you. So whoever's around you that's it, right? And then obviously we see this carry out into the next circles. My replay just froze. Okay. So we see this carry out into the next circles where deadside remains pretty consistent because you didn't have any players here, so now you're not going to have any players rotating into here. And you had a lot of players here, so now you're going to have a lot of players here, right? And it just carries on. So really valuable is that if you could determine deadside of first circle, that's going to be really big. So yeah, that's it for today's video. I really hope it made sense, guys. I'm really having doubts about this, but I hope it makes sense. I hope you guys enjoyed this. It was kind of a VOD review thing. I can do more VOD reviews if people are interested. Like these longer videos are not bad to make at all. I actually really enjoy making them, and I could do like streams of these as well. Oh yeah. So you know, if you don't care about me, you can just click off the video now. I appreciate you guys watching. We're almost at 1,000 subs. If you guys could go ahead and hit that sub button, I think we're like 15 off, so it would be amazing. It's a big milestone. Second of all, I've been streaming on Twitch, and I actually got affiliated yesterday because X2 Twins, you know, the Australian pros, were doing a watch party of Asia FNCS, and they managed to catch me in endgame, which was great. So big shout out to them. Thank you so much. So yeah, I'm affiliated on Twitch. If you guys want to go ahead and follow me there, I might do like VOD reviews live on stream. I am considering doing that, but I'm not really sure if that's something people want to see. So let me know in the comments if you guys want to see more VOD review videos. Follow me on Twitch to catch me live on stream, twitch.tv/Jedi2X. It'll be linked in the description down below. Follow me on Twitter to get updates on my life, my videos, my channel, whatever. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Peace.